My home on the far coast in northwest of England. Good evening, everybody. And just to let you know that Georgia lost for a break and a tango. Won't be with us this evening. He's got some other meeting on. But we've got crowd of the already, so let's see how we go. So, we're going to enjoy this festival. Just to let you know that Georgia is experimenting on the radio. Over to you there, Mike. DL1 PJW, LAB. Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey, very good evening to all listeners. Also to the listeners on YouTube. I think they are on also. We are okay here in northwestern Germany. The WX has been relatively warm, 15 degrees Celsius outside today, and for today no rain, which was a nice alternative. It has been raining quite a lot in the last few days, but now it was dry again, but very cloudy. And the temperature at night time is down to 11, which is not so low, I think, for this time of the year. But we'll see what the future will bring us there. I've been taking part in the Oceania contest the last weekend. We'll talk about it in the next over. And looking forward to the next Oceania contest in this weekend, the upcoming weekend, which will be in CW, which will perhaps give us greater possibilities as the SSB thing there with lots of contestants. So far from my side was over. Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango.
Very good evening to all of you. This is Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango for the group. So we are very glad to be part of the net this evening. Last week we had been at the sea and couldn't take part. We had quite a good time there. The weather conditions had been quite well. Then the sun was shining, sometimes a little bit cold wind, but mainly temperatures about 13 to 18 degrees. So it was quite comfortable, and we could do some things outside. Especially it was quite nice to operate with a small QMX setup from the car, the QMX, and running FT8 and FT4, and the car was parked at the coast, and we had a small whip antenna on top of the roof, and I have been heard with FT8, with FT4 and 5 watts in Australia. This was quite amazing. So the spot there is quite good because it's surrounded by salt water there, and therefore you can work quite well with vertical antennas from the car park there. So this was last week, quite amazing, and weather conditions now have a little bit changed. Temperatures are also about 16 degrees centigrade now, but it was raining and was not so good. You can't go outside and do something there. But let's hope for the best for the autumn. So that's all for the first over. I hand the microphone back to M0AUG for the group.
DLPT with DL1 PJW in the group. M0AUG time. Just the odd drop out on the signal there. Might be on ground, maybe on that ground, but nothing that we couldn't understand on that. And it's amazing, isn't it, on the salt water? And this is like when he goes to Alicante, was it recently? down by the salt bars there. He can get amazing distances from his setup down there. And it's all to do with the salt bars there. So, yeah, and thank you and good evening to anybody who's listening on the YouTube channel as well. And we'll now go straight over to you there, Lou. GHJJ in the group, M0AUG, good evening.
M0 AUG in the group, GHJJ. It's very good evening, Jeff, and it's very nice to be back this evening. The WX in Nottingham, overcast, some sunny periods, and about 15 Celsius for most of the day. Not a bad day, but not as good as we've had. Van conditions for me have been fairly good. 10 metres has been open on several days during the week, and the lower bands have also been active. On Monday, Tuesday, I worked a number of VX stations on 10 metres and 12 metres using the Delta loops, and they really do work, and well worth putting up if conditions are suitable. I'm always surprised at how well Adriana does with low power, working VK with just 5 watts. Really spectacular that. I very rarely use low power. I don't seem to get anywhere with low power, but I don't use more than about 40 watts, so I'm not really high there. The other activities include the satellite project, which is moving on, and more on that on the next over. So back to you, Jeff. M0AUG in the group, GHJJ.
GHJJ in the group, M0AUG. Yeah, fine on that one, and look forward to hearing more on the next over there. I've done very, very little radio at all this week, and tonight. Last evening, I was quite pleased to, on 40 metres, just work the GB3RS station for the RSCB from the National Radio Centre. And we opened up especially on the evening there to give people the opportunity to pick up that call sign. So that's one for me. Over to you there, Frank and Keel, GG60AY group, M0AUG, good evening.
Yes, hello, GG60AY, good evening to everyone, and good afternoon to Rob. Yeah, the WX is usually the one that Mike and Adriana had 2 hours ago. We are getting it from the west, but it's not dry over here. It's like late September temperatures, but it looks like November. And I was out with a bike, had to transport something on the bike, and there was a slight drizzle, and it was already dark, and there were only these 20 raindrops on the glasses, and it was hard to see. But I'm getting back home. Having said that, I totally missed the opportunity to record some STV pictures of the ISS. I checked some of the orbits, but I was distracted by other things or occupied my work or so. Last weekend, yeah, we got the storm we already expected on last Thursday, and there was an activity at the submarine line on 5 here at the Key Fjord, but unfortunately I felt bad whether they didn't have so many visitors. Although there was still a queue inside the submarine which was decorated with plastic sausages, plastic breads, and tins with food and all that stuff. Nets were made, and they were also doing red light and stuff, so it was more realistic than usual, but they do that only, I think, on 1 or 2 weekends each year, and that was interesting to see. But I was not working the radio there, unfortunately, before, because there were so many visitors, and because of all the interested, I already sent out some pictures also to Mike and Adriana for outside working at the submarine, and yeah, so that was some of my activities, and yeah, work hours, athletics programs on the next over next of zero AG.
D6, why the group M0 AG? Thanks for listening, Frank, and look forward to hearing more updates in the next over, particularly on the activity around the submarine there. Right, we'll move up to the borders now. GM4JKZ Group M0AG. Good evening, Keith.
M0AG with the group from GM4JKZ. Yes, good evening, Jeff, and one and all. Good to be back again this week. Been quite interesting. I haven't done a great deal of radio. I worked the URC, the Unicorn Radio Club contest the weekend. Only achieved 30 contacts, well, not on the weekend, it was last Friday actually. I only managed to work 30 contacts, but halfway through the morning I had to lower the DS commander due to the winds, which was quite fortunate because sort of late afternoon some of the trees in our garden were trying to lay themselves down on the ground. The heat was quite strong here, so risking that one. But I did check a couple of days ago after I stood in the landings, and I'm pleased to say I was first in Scotland so far. Two of us entered, so that's not really a true accolade as such. Up here tonight it's 11.6 degrees outside, and you probably noticed I've got a bit of a runny nose tonight, so the cold's getting to me, although I put it down to the fact I had my flu jab probably last week, which didn't help. So, furthermore, I'll put it back to you then, Jeff. M0AG for the group from GM4JKZ. And congratulations, by the way, Andrew R. 5 Watson to VK, very jealous.
GM4JKZ with group M0AG returning. Yeah, you can usually rely on Mike and Andrea to cloud these little ones, especially when they go up towards the coast there. And very well done indeed, very well done indeed. Right, over to you then, Nick. G4IW in the group, M0AG. Good evening, Nick.
M0AG in the group from G4IW. Oh yeah, good evening, Jeff, and everyone else on the net this evening. Good to hear people again. And the temperature here is currently 13.1 degrees outside. It's been pretty well the same temperature all day. We've had absolutely no sunshine. There's been a lot of overhanging cloud, a little bit of rain earlier this morning, but that cleared. But we're definitely, I've got a change of temperature. I see we've got a high pressure now coming over the UK, and it's going to last with us for a good week or two. And according to Ken, chatting to him last night, he's been busily monitoring the VHF beacons to work that EU DX that he can work from his location there on VHF single sideband. Just a couple of things. I put the club call MX0KSU live on this afternoon. Just as an experiment, I was just fiddling with equipment in the shack, and I thought I was going to put the club call on, and I thought I'd live stream it at the same time. And I had 20 QSOs this afternoon into mainly England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and Netherlands and Germany. It was good fun. Had some nice chats with people, some of whom very interested in the club and were looking up their live stream and making comments on that as well on YouTube, which was very pleasing. And I chatted to a radio amateur who must live no more than 2 miles from where I live, who said he was looking for a club and he was going to look up Pennine Ham and have a look at what we do and perhaps come along to one of our meetings to find out. So it shows you the benefits, doesn't it, of putting these things on live stream and making some QSOs and chatting to people to talk about the club. And just the final thing that I was very pleased with, I posted it on the WhatsApp group, but the RSGB have now launched the live app, the final version of the app for the RSGB publications like Ragcom and so on, which are now available to watch on a phone and on a tablet, both iOS and Android computers and tablets. Very good indeed, and I'm delighted that that's the case. It now has its pride of place on my iPad alongside reading Practical Wireless and the ARRL magazine QST. I can now read Ragcom and search through it and look through it and so on, and I'm delighted with that. I think that's long overdue, and I posted that on the RSGB website welcoming that and put it in the WhatsApp channel as well. So I hope a few people have had the chance to explore that. But more on the next over about other activities. Of course, fantastic result. 5 watts into VK any time is always fantastic, and well done indeed for that achievement. So back to you, Jeff. M0 AG in the group G4IWO.
Thank you for exercising the club call sign as well. That was good. And that gets us on there as well. And it's just amazing, isn't it, what you can get by exploring all these opportunities really to start to advertise the club. And I think it's a lovely idea, a good idea, that the Ragcom, it's been coming along for a while to be able to get it online. And I think this is the way things are going, honestly, with the BW and the other ones. Whether that will make any difference to number of subscriptions, I don't know. Or whether if people go for the digital version and reduce the cost of the printed version, that will be sufficient to keep the cost down, remains to be seen. I would normally be on my way to the RSGB convention in the morning, but I've decided this year that advancing years, and no, it's too far for me to go this time around. So I should be interested as to what's going on, and keeping a watch on the live stream, but no going down to Milton Keynes tomorrow. Okay, over to you, Robert the States. November 4 XL for Tango in the group. M0 AUG. Good evening, or good afternoon, Bob. Zero AUG with your group. November 4 X-ray Alpha Tango. Good evening to all that are on the net, and hello to everyone that's on Facebook or watching us during the week. Currently, we have hit our high temperature for the day, 16 Celsius. It has cooled down quite a bit, and I'm enjoying it. I have several minutes. First of all, Frankie Keel, thank you for that link to the photos from the event for U995. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I appreciate you sending that. I also received a letter from Heinz Marus congratulating me on my birthday last week, and I enjoyed that also, Frank. So I'm still in the game, even though I can't get over there. This sunspot cycle, I think, is just in the high for me. The last few days, signals have been way up. I've made more contacts than normal. I think for about 3 days now. Signals that were, say, 5.3 are now 5.7, 5.9, and I'm picking up more and more and more. So, to me, the sunspot cycle now is at its high for me, high. The Ragcom, I did download it after I saw your note on WhatsApp, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I'll now get my Ragcom over the air earlier than I'll
received my postal copy, so that's great, and it works just fine. I really like it, and I'm so happy that they took that route. More on the next go around, as usual. So back to you, Jeff, and thank you for picking me up, and thanks for running to that M0 AUG with the group, November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango.
Alpha Tango in the group, M0 AUG, I think. Yeah, thanks for that, Holland. I think probably in your case, the advent of the app on the iPad, it'll mean that you probably get the Radcom a lot earlier than waiting for it through the post in any event as well. And yeah, a good move on behalf of the RSGB, in my opinion. Right. Just go to the top of the list, and we know we've got Paul G0TVB with 2 connections up there. Are you joining us this evening, Paul, or just monitoring? Over to you. Nothing heard from Paul G0TVB. And good evening to anybody who's listening through GB Subnet checks. Still showing us being connected via that at the moment, but if you're watching or monitoring, welcome. Thank you for making this facility available. Anybody who's listening through GB Subnet checks, come into the contacts now, please. Again, nothing heard. Like always in all the Germany, DL1VJW and DL8BUT from M0AUG. Over to you, Mike.
Yeah, this is Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango. Michael has just got a phone call, so I'll take over this over here. And yes, what can I report from our side? Last time I reported some faults which I had to fix, and I can now report that I fixed the Kanga kit fault. I had an issue with a side tone there, and fortunately it was not the Kanga kit which causes the fault. It was the speaker which I connected, and when I connected another speaker, especially the headset there was none fault with the side tone, and I worked with 1 watt CW, and has been heard all over Europe. Getting real contacts is a little bit difficult because it only works on 1 frequency, only on 14060, the QRP frequency, and when it's open, it's sometimes quite crowded, and then it's difficult to run through with only 1 watt. But it's quite amazing. And today we made some tests with an old MFJ 910. It's a tuning unit, a very simple tuning unit, which has only 6 different capacitors you can choose from, and it's made for portable use, especially for quite short antennas, short vertical antennas, and we tested it here with our Ryberkov antenna, and we could say it doesn't work on all bands, but especially on 14 and 10 meters and on 40 meters. It makes a quite good match, so that you didn't need any internal tuner to match it. So I think it's quite a good choice to take it out portable in the field when the weather conditions will allow it. yes, all interesting stuff you reported there, Nick. The RSGB app, I think it's only possible to use it if you are an RSG member. I think that perhaps you can tell something about this in the next over there. So that's all from my side, and Mike just finished the phone call, so I'll hand over to the Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet.
So was Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey returning from the telephone. I have not heard what Adriana has told you just now, but from my side, I have some things about the Oceania contest, SSB last weekend. We had the FT891 with 100 watts on the living room table, and the Rivercoff 4.9 meter long vertical antenna outside in the garden, and it was quite successful, I think. I made 5 contacts, 5 QSOs to VK and 1 to Yankee Bravo Indonesia, and this was very satisfying. So I always find it difficult in SSB to make a contact. It's easier in CW, in my experience anyway, because in SSB there are a lot of people with very high output power, and I've some difficulties getting through there, having not a beam antenna, and mainly the contacts succeed then when there are new stations coming onto a frequency and calling CQ for the first time, and I by chance hear them. So that's a nice coincidence. Otherwise, something to be mentioned, I got a DigiRig mobile interface now, DigiRig mobile, and was trying it out with a tablet computer, and this was working quite well in FT8 and FT4, but I then tried it with a smartphone, and I saw that there was a problem with the data cable. I needed a special data cable for the connection between the smartphone and the DigiRig, and the one I had wasn't working with the smartphone. And so I ordered one from an internet dealer, got one, and had the experience that it didn't work. It only worked with sound, but not with data. So ordered a new one, and looking forward to getting this in the next days. And hope this one will work then. It would be very nice to have a rig connection with the smartphone, because it's so very highly portable. It could all be fitted with a DigiRig and the True SDX, which I used for transceiver, into a very small pouch, a very small bag, and could be very mobile, so to speak. Otherwise, lots of migration in the bird community here. We are seeing a lot of geese and in the sky flying southward, so winter time is really advancing now. So that was a long over. Microphone back to N0 AUG.
BJW was delayed BDT M0 AUG returning. Yes, fine enough, Mike, and I'll get the technical side sorted out with the unit you've been looking at. It sounds a very, very portable solution if you can get it sorted. To cover off the online RSGB magazine, I've found It is a member benefit, and so it's designed to be a member for paid-up members of the RSGB. So it's only available. I'm assuming you can probably look at a sample copy, but the regular subscription there is just applicable to RSGB members, along with the RSGB basics and the other publication that's there. So I hope that helps on that. Over to you there, Lou. JKJJ in the group, M0AEG.
M0AUG and the group GAKJJ. Yes, fine, Jeff. Keith, I did wonder how you'd managed with the storm last week. It was quite windy here, but I imagine you probably had a lot worse of the weather. But obviously things survived, so that was good. And Bob, conditions have been good, particularly between the States and the UK. On Monday and Tuesday, I would hold a raft of American stations and down into South America as well, because conditions were very good, particularly on 10 and 12 meters. Although I could see that the lower frequencies were also fairly active. And Adriana, the MFJ random wire tuner, I use one, and strangely enough, with the cobweb antenna I've got, because on 10 meters and also on 15 meters, when you're tuning down to FT8 end of the band, because the cobweb is tuned for the middle of the band, it does have a very high SWR. So I just use that random wire tuner on one particular band, and it will bring that in so that I can use it very successfully. So yeah, it's a good idea to have one of those, and they're very, very simple, and they work well. Since last week's net, I've been acquiring additional kit for the satellite project, and I now have two handheld transceivers to enable communication with the ISS. The setup consists of an ID50E RX with a preamplifier, an FT4XE TX with 2 meters and 70 centimeter diplexer, and I've tested it with a dummy load and on receive and on the ISS, and it seems to work fine. But I haven't tried it on transmit yet on the ISS. I was going to do that today, but it seems that the ISS was being used for SSTV. I think there was a school event on, so it wasn't possible to use it. But this weekend probably get down to that. The arrangement looks more like a bird's nest than a communication system with all the interconnecting coax patch leads. But I do have a picture for sharing this evening, and it's of the bird's nest. So back to you, Jeff. M0AUG in the group, GAKJJ.
JKJJ in the group, M0AUG. Yeah, final update on the satellite kit. Just be aware, if you weren't already aware, that obviously at the RSGB convention over Saturday and Sunday, there is a stream being run by Amsat UK, which might interfere with whatever you're trying to do. So I just thought I'd mention that if you weren't aware of it already. And obviously we'll see your photograph when we come to the end of the net this evening. Okay, back over to you now. DG6OAY in the group, M0AUG.
Yeah, DG6OAY back. Yes, Bob, it's interesting. You mentioned Heinz Norbus and getting birthday data from him. That's impressive because he's not only the president of the Deutsche Marinebund, the German Naval Association, but he's also an interesting person. I saw that he has his own Wikipedia page, at least on the German Wikipedia, and has been in the Navy and had a very interesting career in politics and later, after he retired, he became president of the DMV, and probably, I know, because I never got a letter from him, he sends out letters only to very important members of the DMV, and so, interesting to hear that. Visiting the submarine was interesting, but there wasn't radioactivity. They had the so-called Friends of U-995 there. That's a group of some people trying to support these events, and they also do overalls of the time, so they pretend to work at the submarine as a crew, and they usually need to be between 20 and 30 years or so. I think being 30 years old is already old for such a type of submarine, because towards the end of the war, I think no one was older than 25 or so. I spotted also a young woman under the crew, which was probably not the case at that time, although nowadays there is a female submarine commander in the German Navy. And if there would have been someone operating in the radio room, he would have probably been of the wrong age, somewhere over 50 or so, and that just would not fit. So there was no radioactivity in the submarine. But I was experimenting with my mesh-tastic devices. I got a few devices now, and later I went up to the Memorial Tower, which is, I think, 85 meters above sea level, and transmitted some packets there. Not on the amateur radio bands, but on 868 megahertz ISM band. And I got a reply from a distance, from another node, from a distance of 14 kilometers, which is quite good for such a high frequency, 860 megahertz, and maybe 100 milliwatts or so. That was my timer. I handed my call back to Jeff M0AUG.
Well, on that, Frank, yes, you were right on the button there for the timeout and that. Thanks for all the information, very, very interesting, and what you're going on over there. I do appreciate you joining the net in the evening and giving us all the benefits of what's going on with the submarine, etc. Over to you, Keith, GM4JKZ in the group, M0AUG. M0AUG in the group, GM4JKZ, returning, yes. By the way, Jim's at his steam up tonight, so he's not around. So, everybody's been very active. I've not been that active, I must admit. And one of the major things up here is the M2 has been almost emptied, so I've got to refloor that. So back to my old hobby, I call it a hobby now, laying floors. So I've got to go, and then all the way down the bed wing, the corridor has also got to have the carpet lifted and wooden flooring put down. So that's what I'll be doing over the next few weeks. And the RSGB online, I think it's excellent because I don't know whether it's age or what, but that fine print in the magazine is very difficult sometimes to read, I must admit. So it's nice to be able to zoom it up and enjoy the articles. ISS Slowscan TV this week. Yes, I've received my award today. So I did send not a very good picture in. I've looked at Jeff's online and they're superb, but they did send me an award back for the information that I conveyed to them, which was very satisfying. And at the moment, I'm just watching 17 meters on FT8, where we've got South Africa, Angola, and I'm currently working into Nicaragua, would you believe? So 17 is pretty good. I must admit, this new improved plus edition of WHJTX version 3 is extremely good, and it's nice to get the vertical back up. A
long wire with the CG3000 is good for sort of into Europe, but the contest at the weekend, my maximum distance was Greece. With the vertical, I can get obviously a lot further, a lot more distant. Lou, birds' nests. Yeah. I could send you a photo of them to my bench at the moment, but I won't do that. We've all got birds' nests, I think. So that's what amateur is all about, isn't it? These really neatly tidied ones, although I did start off with that in mind, it never works out because there's always another wire and always something else that you want to add in there. So there we go. Right, okay, back to you then, Jeff. M0AUG with the group GM4JKZ.
GM4JKZ in the group, M0AUG. Yes, fine enough that all the future joinery with the bedroom wing, etc. There's always something to do, and I know you've done quite a lot of it in the past, so success we got in the ring. So, over to you then, G4IWO in the group, M0AUG.
M0AUG in the group from G4IWO. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. And for Mike and Adriana, there is, and in fact for UK members, there is a small reduction in the subscription by signing up to the digital-only version. Having looked at the RSGB website, it is so complicated, the number of different options that they now offer. And I'd looked at it earlier today and was struggling to make complete sense of how they've explained it to people there. But there is definitely a lower price option, although I say lower price for overseas RSGB membership, digital only, it's 72 UK pounds. So, you know, that's quite a lot of money, but the other side of it is if all you're getting is a magazine for that and that's costing you £6 a month, then it may well be you could go out to, you know, a shop or a magazine store and buy a magazine, obviously not the RSGB one, but a magazine that would cost you easily £6 each month. So you have to make a decision about whether you think that it will be worthwhile or not. But yeah, I completely agree with the point you made there, Keith, and the ability just to use your fingers to make it bigger or smaller and to navigate around so simply is a significant improvement over trying to read it on a computer. And you can't take a computer to bed with you or sit in the front room really, you know, looking at a tablet whilst doing something else at the same time. So I'm really pleased that they've done it. Yeah, we've got some visitors that have been dipping in and out this evening of the live stream, and obviously we've got a lot of people who catch up on the digital net later in the week. It was quite interesting this afternoon doing the live stream on a bit on 20 meters and then on 40 meters because I think we had something like 39 different people opt in at various stages to listen to the live stream. Some of those were the people I'd been making contacts with, and I told them that you could find your QSO with me on the 44th minute of the live stream, and they were just strolling back through it to find themselves there and see how they sounded in the shack here in the UK or from wherever they were talking to us from. So that's quite interesting, and I think it's definitely worthwhile to stream things on YouTube whenever we can do. That's kind of my feeling, and it helps the promotion of the club. Yeah, I'm very, very interested, Lou, in how you end up with your satellite adventures down there with the antenna that you've been building. And I hope at some stage, just like you did on the Delta loops, you'll write up your report on that. And incidentally, I was talking about you earlier in the week. You were quite right. I was active on the radio on Tuesday of this week, and on Tuesday there was very good conditions, as you say, Lou, on 10 meters. I worked a string of US stations on CW and also into Argentina and Trinidad and Tobago. I had also had a very successful day on Monday on 20 meters and then moving up to 10 meters, again working a string of US stations as well, all of these on CW, but very strong indeed. And when I was chatting to one of the contacts in Argentina, he was telling me he was using a vertical delta loop antenna, and from his description of the antenna, it's exactly what you've been playing with as well, Lou, that we took from the talk that Hiroki gave at the club AH6CY earlier in the year. And I mentioned that to the Argentinian radio amateur, that this was something that various members have been playing with and having a lot of DX success with that antenna. And he was saying that's his go-to antenna for DX on 10 and 15 meters from Argentina. So yeah, that kind of bears out what we think from using these antennas in the UK. One of the people I spoke to today from Wales on 40 meters was using a horizontal loop antenna, 264 feet long. And he was doing extremely well. Very, very nice signal from South Wales into me today on relatively low power, I seem to recall, with his nice long loop antenna. And it kind of chimes, doesn't it, with the old adage that the more wire you can get in the air, the better you're going to do. And there is something to be said for that. Back to you, Jeff. M0 AUG in the group, G4IWO.
G4IWO in the group M0 AUG. Yeah, that's been said for a long, long time, Nick. The more wire you can get up in the air, the better on that. Interesting to hear all people's reactions to what they've been doing with very little things and getting very far, like Adrian. And obviously, that's the hobby, isn't it? That's the hobby. So, there's only about 8 of us on this evening, so I think it's probably for the time for us to start taking the files. Although, don't forget everybody, just because the net finishes about half an hour or whatever, you can still do it. Things on 705 at absolutely any time that you want to. So, I'm going to pass it over, if I may please, to Mike and Adriana in Germany for their finals. DL1 BJW in the group, DL8 BDT, M0 AEG.
BJW was the final. Yes, thank you very much for all the information and interesting thoughts there. It was a nice, pleasant, and very interesting evening again, and something to look forward to every week. I always like these stable events, so to speak. It's something to really look forward to. Thank you for your company, and I hope we all will have interesting but very positive things coming up on the weekend, perhaps on some contests. We will also be going to a local amateur radio flea market, which is about 20 miles away from our home QDH here. It's something which only happens there once a year, and it's always nice to find some friendly faces and to have some good talks with people one hasn't seen for a long time but perhaps spoken to on the airwaves. So we are looking forward to that. So thank you again for your company, and thank you very much for doing an excellent job in hosting the meeting, Jeff. And wishing you all
73s, and all the very best. Take care, stay safe, and hope to see you safe and sound next week. This was D1 BJW, passing the microphone to Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango.
Yeah, this is Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango for the group. Yes, thank you very much for this interesting evening and for your company, and Jeff for hosting the net. It was a pleasure, as always, to be with you. And yes, Nick, you're right with the RSGB from Redcom, but it's possible to buy a Redcom single or monthly option of the magazine, so it might be a good idea to look that up. So all the best for you, 73 and 88 from Northern Germany. Hope to meet you down the log or next week on Zoom and on digital net. Bye bye. This was Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango, handing the microphone back to M0 AUG for the group.
Lake BGT with DL1 BJW, M0H returning. Yes, fine, and thank you, Mike Alger. And interesting to hear, what goes on with your exploits when you've been away, so thank you very much for that. And we look forward to catching up with you on the two meetings next week. We hope a Zoom meeting on Wednesday for the annual general meeting, and then obviously the digital net on Thursday. So we look forward to that. Now then, I'm assuming, Lou, that you've got a picture for us. Can you confirm?
Yeah, that's a Roger, Jeff.
Okay, thanks for that. In which case, we'll skip over straight over to Frank in Kiel for your final there, Frank. DG6OAY in the group, M0AUG.
Yeah, DG6OAY. Thanks for all the information and the contributions. And thank you, Jeff, for hosting the net as usual. And yeah, it's interesting to hear about the many DX contacts, contest stuff, and my ODX this weekend was just over 14 kilometers. And then even not an amateur radio band because it was on 860. But it's interesting to experiment with those small mesh-tastic devices. I also have devices here for which are working on 430 megahertz in the amateur radio band, and testing the interfacing and all that stuff. And maybe I'll report about that in the next week or so. I hope everything works fine so that I will be online again next Thursday. And yeah, so thanks to everyone, and 73 until next time from DG6OAY.
DG6OAY in the group, M0AG returning. Thank you for joining us as usual, Frank. Obviously, you are one of the regulars, and we look forward to your input each week. So, I'm going to skip over Keith and Bob, because I know you'll be both putting pictures in that order. So what we'll do now for today is go over to Nick, G4IWO, for a wrap-up, and then we'll pick up the three who are sending pictures this week. G4IWO in the group, M0AG.
M0AUG in the group from G4IWO. Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. And just going back to the RSGB, I've just saved from my tablet a page about the RSGB convention coming up this weekend. The highlight of the keynote speaker who is speaking, which looks to be like it's going to be a very interesting talk. But I downloaded that and then posted it directly on the WhatsApp group to Pennine Ham, just to see if everyone can read it. I'm sure you can do, and that's a useful feature So I'm sure when there are interesting articles that people want to read, we'll be able to send them across to individual members to have a look at. Yeah, I also wanted to mention, just before I go on to the club news, that AliExpress are now selling a pair of 30 centimetre solid rods that have got the base to accept the screw-in point and the screw at the bottom. And what that would enable you to do, I was thinking, would be to raise, so where you've got your base of the antenna, to put those two 30 centimetre rods together, so you've got a 60 centimetre solid piece, and then if you're using a coil, to put the coil slightly higher up, and then to put the whip antenna on top of it. It just struck me that might be something worth playing with, that might achieve some interesting results and some improvements, because as we know, if you can get the loading carried out slightly higher up by moving the coil up, for example, some of the short HF mobile whips have done that to great success. It makes a significant improvement in shifting the high point of the current, and therefore the radiation from the antenna. And so I thought that was definitely worth having a play with. The two individual rods on AliExpress look as if you can buy them in the UK at the moment for £10 for two, and I thought it was worth having an experiment with that and having a play and sticking the coil on top of that, and then having a whip on top, and seeing what if any difference that appeared to make. So that's something else to play with. Yeah, Jeff, thank you very much. It is the annual general meeting next week. In many ways, not the most exciting meeting of the year, but I will be doing, hopefully a nice extensive report of the club over the last 12 months and where we're hoping we can go with it. So looking forward to that. And I know we've got members at the moment busily reinstating their membership for the coming year. Thank you everyone who's paid, and joining up as a free member, because that option's there as well. And free members can also participate in the annual general meeting, although if there was any vote taken, they can't vote. So that's a distinction in participation of the formal meetings between free and paid membership, which I think is the right way to do it. But obviously we do need to take some money in to pay for the Zoom subscription, to help us go out to the Ham Festival and so on in the UK, and the Blackpool rallies we did last year, and to book up some stands and to produce some leaflets and materials and so on. And we must produce the club call QSL card that both can be sent to members, but also we can use when, for example, like this afternoon, I made a series of contacts. It would be rather nice to be able to make available a proper QSL card we can send to people, which is in itself is an advert for the club and what we're doing. So hopefully people will tune in next week for the Zoom meeting, and come along to the annual general meeting, and look forward to people's suggestions and ideas, and in particular, of course, for any volunteers for anything that you're suggesting. So just be careful what you suggest. I'm only joking, but for the few of us that took on the roles we're taking, it takes up quite a lot of time, and as people will know, of my three fellow club members who took on positions on the club as club officers, each of them have had their challenges in the last few weeks and months ongoing in life outside amateur radio, which has impinged upon their abilities and activities. And obviously it's quite right that for whatever reason they take a bit of a backseat or drop off their activity. Drop the key there. Drop off their activity to reflect what's going on in their own lives outside radio. So on that note, I'd like to wish everyone 73s And obviously, a big thank you to Jeff again for chairing of the net and also for the contributions of people tonight. M0, AEG in the group G4IWO.
G4 the group M0 AEG returning. Yeah, just on a little personal note then, whilst we're talking about Radcom, if you actually look at the front cover of the latest magazine, there is a photograph, an audience photograph, part of the way down there from last year's convention, and right in the foreground you'll see yours truly in the blue t-shirt for the Fulton Cleavers Amateur Radio Society, with Donald, the secretary, next door to me. So we went down together to last year, and obviously I said I won't be going this year. But for some reason they decided to use us on the front cover of this month's Radcom. So I'll leave that little one with you there, Nick. Thanks again for the contribution, obviously. We'll see you on the evening. So, over to the gentleman with the photographs now. And we'll go to you first, Lou, followed by Bob in the US, and leaving up to Keith to finish this evening. KJJ in the group M0AEG. Continue with whatever you want to say on your own normal over, and then you can finish off with the picture there, Lou.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. M0AUG in the group GAKJJ. I did lose signal on Nick for a short while on the previous over. I don't know whether that's down to me or whether other people noticed that. But anyway, I didn't miss that much. Anyway, thanks, Jeff, for hosting the net. It's been a real pleasure again this week, and I'm looking forward again to next week. I've got a picture, as I say, it is of the bird's nest, so I'll send that. I'm sending that right now.
KJJ M0AEG. Quite a lot missing from that photo, Lou. I don't really want to just try sending it again for practice. But, there were quite a few blocks in the first 3 rows, and then we come to some in the middle, and the bottom bit is virtually blocked out. Back over to you.
Yeah, okay, I'll send it again. I don't know why, whether it's my broadband that's not very good, but I do seem to have a problem sending pictures. Anyway, I'll send it again, Jeff.
Much improved that time, Lou, and you don't need to send it again. There are just 1 or 2 blocks. I'll just pass it over to the others for comments. Over to you there, Bob, followed by Keith.
The
this is November 4 X-ray Alpha Tango. First of all, the second time was much better. The first time I got 74%, and the second time it filled it in to 92%. So it made it much more readable. First of all, thank you, Jeff, for running the net once again. And Nick, this morning I did tune up, I guess it was afternoon your time, but I did tune up the SSB frequency on 20 meters. And I can't give you a report because I didn't hear you, but I presume that your new mic worked much better. Hi. Second of all, excuse me just a second. Second of all, that Radcom picture that you did send, it came over perfectly, and it reloaded as a Adobe format picture. What is it? A PDF. And so it can be blown up, and you can they read what the next. So that was great. And Lou, yes, we were talking about reception earlier. In the last 3 days, I worked M0TTQ, not Tim Cook, but I worked him from GP 4591, wherever that happens to be. That's where he was this time. And I worked at Paul Fine, Mike 1 Golf Romeo Yankee this week, but I believe he was at home. I don't believe he was in the park. So the reception has been exceptional this week. Normally, I send pictures of ships. Well, this month, the Erie Canal is celebrating its 200th anniversary of its opening. And that meant something to me because my grandmother from Italy would have been at the other end of it. And of course, that gave them the opportunity to receive commodities from anywhere in the world. From New York, they would go to, from New York City, they would go to Albany, and then over to the Erie Canal. So it meant something to me. So today, there is a boat in the picture. I can't give you any details on it, but that's going to be my picture today. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. So instead of talking, I'm just going to send the picture. Just give me a minute. A rough time here for some reason. Doesn't want to send, but yeah, give me a couple seconds here. I'll bite you.
N4X.
Give me a couple of seconds here. For some reason, I'm having trouble getting into send, but let me try it a couple times. 6AT in the group M0AG. Perfect picture with me there, Bob, on that one. And Lou, Nick said on the WhatsApp that the picture you sent earlier on also was 100% on that. So I'll pass it over to you there, Lou, for a comment on that and Bob's picture. And then we'll go over to Keith in Scotland. KJJ in the group M0AG.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And the picture from Bob is great. There are one or two odd blocks missing, but it doesn't affect the picture at all. It's a very nice picture, and I did wonder if I should be sending my pictures at 640 by 480, because that's a really nice picture, Bob. I'm very impressed with that. It's a good composition. Anyway, back to you, Jeff. G8KJJ.
M0AG. Well, the comment from Lou there. It's up to you. Do you want to send it again, or shall I ask Keith what he saw first of all? Back to you.
I did again, although that pixels, it does take a while. But if anyone would like it again, I'll send it.
Okay then, Bob. Let's see what Keith said. It was perfect as far as I was concerned. Over to you there, Keith. GM4JKZ from 0AG.
M0AG, Chief GM4JKZ, in 100%, all bar 2 pixels up in the trees at the very top. That's a fabulous picture there, Bob. So I'm happy with it as it is. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks for that, Keith. Okay there, Bob. Thanks very much for that. By and large, we're all happy with that, apart from the sort of minor detail. So thanks for sending that to us, and thank you for your affairs as well. So, over to you, Keith, for your final comments on the evening, and also your picture, please. GM4JKZ in the group M0AG.
Yeah, from GM4JKZ. Yeah, thanks there, Jeff, and thanks for running the evening. I know what it's like, so very pleasing. And I think rather than Lou doing a write-up on what he's doing, I think he should give us a presentation on Wednesday with full-blown pictures and videos and etc. Just kidding there, Lou. Don't want to wind you up there. So that's pretty good. My picture this evening is really boring. The one that I wanted to send you, I couldn't find it, so I have to save that for next week. I've just taken a photograph of the operating position here tonight. We were progressing through, I think the time on it is 1945 on the clock, so excellent. I'll get this one whizzed over to you.
GM4JKZ M0AG. It looks like something out of air traffic control there. Back to you, Keith.
From GM4JKZ. Yeah, it's the 2 new monitors, the centre one on the right hand one of my new ones. And Jim's gone one better. He's got 3 new 27-inch monitors. But I find it's so useful. I run FC8 on the centre and Radio Deluxe on the right. And at the moment, I've got the Ham Shack dashboard
running our links this evening. So on the Pennine handling. So yeah, it's I'm very pleased with it. But getting them all aligned just right drives you nuts, I must admit. Back to you there, Jeff, from JKZ.
Cheer for JKZ in the group rooms here at AG. I'm just going to pass over to Lou and then to Bob for their comments on your picture there, Keith. Over to you, Lou.
Yeah, it looks like a very nice operating position, Keith. There are a few blocks missing at the top, but I can see the operating position very well, and it's very nice. Back to you, Jeff.
Okay, thanks for your comments. And over to you both for your comments on Keith's picture. This is in for XAT. A very impressive operating position. You're embarrassing me. I use a large monitor for my ham radio deluxe, but then I use a little MacBook Air for my spotting, etc., etc. But embarrassingly, I now will never take a photo of my operating system and show it to you. Very, very nice. I like it. Back to you, whoever. For XRT, we do M0AG. Yeah, thanks very much for your comments there, Bob, and obviously for your contribution towards this evening as well. And I see that Nick has actually put the cover shot of the latest Radcom on the WhatsApp group as well, which is, for those who have not seen me on the Zoom meetings, I'm in the middle of the photograph there, dressed in a blue top, with a colleague by the side of me, and that was from last year's convention. So, thanks everybody for an enjoyable evening. It's only a small number on the group tonight. And, I hope that Jeff, when he comes to review it, when he's into his other meeting, will enjoy the meeting as well. So, with that, I'm going to say 73s. Hope to see many of you on the Zoom meeting for the AGM next Wednesday. And obviously back on this net for the digital net on Thursday. So this is Zero AG saying 73 to everybody. Thank you for your contributions and your company and your friendship. Good night.